Then, Ross, we have a beautifully presented bottle on the table now. It is another expression from Nc'nean, which is a distillery we've not looked up to, but we've always respected and we've always enjoyed.
Since we had a single cask on the channel, I realised how good their whiskey could be. And to be honest, I hadn't had much before that, but what I had seen is one of these Huntress releases previously. 48.5%, great looking bottle. And it's a distillery that does stuff quite differently. It's very eco-focused.
Yep.
And they actually changed their kind of recipe for their spirit. 2 different spirits that they make during the year. And the Huntress, this one here, the Orchard Cobbler, is in the first 2 weeks of them changing that spirit.
Right, okay.
Which means, in a way, it's probably going to have a bit of both.
Yeah.
But they say that they make a fruitier spirit when they're producing the Huntress. And what I like about it is I first seen it on a bar. It says how to pronounce the bottle. So it says pronounced Nc'nean, I hope. and then it said,
saying it wrong.
And it said drink however you like it.
Yeah, drink it as you like.
Yeah, which I thought was...
I mean, it's got a recipe for
a highball.
A highball, yeah, which is class.
Yeah, really, really forward thinking.
Yeah,
a way to
feels like a very modern.
Yeah.
Whiskey brands.
Also, do not taking yourself too seriously. As much as you're trying to build up a brand and a portfolio, you're not saying people have to do this or do that. It says do what you want with it. It looks brilliant, and it's a distillery that, as you're right, we've not found one we haven't enjoyed yet.
Yeah, which has been, I think it shows how busy the Scotch whisky scene has been the last few years. That whiskey is reliable and high quality has often flown under a lot of people's radars.
Yeah.
And their branding, the marketing has all been fantastic. It's predominantly a female-led distillery, which shouldn't really be relevant, but it does make them stand out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's, I feel like everything they do has got a touch of class to it.
It's also in the middle of nowhere, and there's something charming about that in Scotland. Yeah. Like, okay, if I go to Nc'nean, it's going to be a proper day out, a proper trip, which we've not done, which we might need to do. No. Let's get it poured and see what we think. But it looks brilliant. And I've had a Huntress before. I don't think it was this exact one. And
with a name like Orchard Cobbler, we're expected to be, fresh and citrusy?
I hope so. Apples
which isn't fitting with their kind of style.
Yeah.
I do feel they are quite consistent, which is nice. As we said before, there's a lot of whiskey on the market now. So I feel like distilleries that do 2 or 3 different styles and try and appeal to everybody, it's maybe a little bit greedy. I like a distillery. It's like, this is our house style, this is what we do. We might have a few slight flourishes with different cask types or whatever, but this is our distillery
and
DNA.
I think it would be fair to say that we like cask influenced whiskies, but if the highlight of this is focusing on a different style of spirit, then it shows that they really believe in that spirit. And it says it's going to be a bit fruitier. It says orchard. Is it apples and pears on the nose?
And it's got a bit of that to it.
It's quite green, actually, as well. It's sweet, it's fresh, totally unpeated as well, Nc'nean.
It's very similar to... I had a bottle of the organic, which is their kind of standard bottling, and it does remind me a fair bit of that. It is nice having it a slightly higher strength. It has got a touch more complexity to it, but it's... Yeah, like all Nc'nean, it's pleasant, it's inviting, it's very well made, and well presented as always.
And the palate is sweet. There's a little bit of prickle from the slightly higher ABV. That's quite interesting. I actually feel like I maybe add a wee bit of water to this. The nose is that is kind of stone fruits. Malty.
I mean, we've done a lot of videos. Malty, I feel like that's...
Barley sugar.
Yeah.
Kind of biscuity.
That's often when it tastes like whiskey.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think Nc'nean, it's always good.
What do you think?
It's probably not... Would you describe it as a memorable single malt?
I would say the single cask we had was memorable. This is a batch of about 6,000 bottles, just over 6,000 bottles. So I guess they're going for the branding and it being fairly easy and likeable and approachable rather than it being quite a big, bold flavour.
Yep.
Which would make sense for doing a batch that size for a relatively small distillery.
Yeah, I do wonder whether, the days of people being, totally loyal to one distillery and collecting everything, I do wonder whether those days have passed slightly.
Yeah.
As I say, I think it's great that Nc'nean have got such a distinct style.
Yeah.
But I do think there is an element of, if you've collected every Nc'nean there's ever been, and you open them all up, try them all back to back.
Yeah, other than the single
there
cask.
is quite a lot of similarity there.
So like a kind of consistent core range, but not so experimental.
Potentially. Yeah.
And around Waitrose and stuff now as well, I'm imagining it's products like this, because it's not incredibly dangerous ABV. And it is very approachable. I would say that the previous impressions we had were more cask-led, but I don't mind that.
Yeah.
The whole idea of this is based on that new spirit. It's a pleasure to try it. It's probably not my style. Truth be told, I'd like it to be a bit more indulgent, but again, it's a young distillery.
Yeah, I think it's something it's nice to try. It ticks the box if you're in the mood for a well-made single malt. It's very, very good. But I feel like if you're having, if you're at the bar trying 6-7 drams, it's probably unlikely to be the standout highlight of the day that you're going to tell all your friends about, but it's hard to find fault in it.
It's well worth trying, well worth picking off the shelf, but yeah, it's not indulgent enough for you to go back for a second. This particular expression. But a pleasure to try it, Laurie. Cheers.
Another great dram.
If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Bevvy content. We want to hear what you think, your best whiskey experiences, the whiskies you want to try. It's a really exciting journey we're on, so make sure to join us. Download the Bevvy app on Google Play and App Store to keep track of your whiskey journey, connect with your whiskey friends, keep track of your favourites, anything you could ever want to do with whiskey, all in one place. It's the definitive whiskey companion.